Welcome to the Elegant Warrior, Linda and Brian. How do you pronounce your last name?
Schubring.
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 Welcome to the podcast. I'm so excited to talk about this beautiful book, Unfolded. I want to start. There's a sense of it at the beginning of the book, but tell us about the genesis of this. How did it begin? How did you decide to write this such a very unusual and special book?
Yes.
Which, your version or my version?
Well,
I'll start with the background. It's in COVID, and we are relegated to doing consulting inside. And at the time, I was losing track of how much time we were investing with our clients and the finances and that kind of thing. And I was complaining about this situation to a friend of mine. She's the CEO of her own company. And she said, have you done a services audit? And I said, what's a services audit? So she told me what it was. And she goes, do a 3-year evaluation. So I did that. And I recognized that during COVID, our executive coaching went up by 300%. And so that got my attention of what are we actually doing? And I thought there needs to be some type of unique metaphor that I could explain to someone that would illustrate what we're trying to do with our executive coaching. And that's where the idea of an origami crane made of a map came to my mind, because what we're doing with our coaching is we're really just asking people to reflect on their inner journey, their inner landscape, because most of the people, the problems they're complaining about, the answers they already have. They've already lived similar experiences. And so that's where the origin of the idea came.
And so fast forward, I am sitting at our kitchen table, which during COVID we called the break room. And I'm sitting at the table and I'm drinking my coffee. And Brian comes in, he slides 2 pieces of paper across the table to me and says, I want you to read this. And I'm like, I'm drinking coffee.
And I was excited. I thought, I want you to read that. I want some feedback.
And Brian's a writer. I'm a writer. This is part of our practice as well. So
she's seen paper before.
It's nothing particularly new. And when I read the first line, which is, there once was an origami crane who dreamed of becoming a paper plane, I wept. And I kept reading, and I thought, this is a modern day allegory that needs to be in leaders' hands. It needs to be in people's hands, because when people are grasping around with the uncertainty around them, we want to anchor people back to the certainty within them.
Yeah, that's. I want to make sure that everyone hears that. When people are grappling with the uncertainty around them, we want them to
be reminded of the certainties within them, their identity, who they are, where they come from, that sometimes they've been crumpled and reshaped, but the essence of who they are is still in there strong and cannot be erased.
Because during that time, the challenge and the change and the uncertainty that was all around us was getting so much of our attention. Mm-hmm. And we really wanted to ask people and give people the invitation to pause and be grounded in not the chaos on the outside, but the calm on the inside.
Yeah, it's so just to back up for the listeners, I have a lot of authors on, and it tends to be a lot of authors of personal development type books. But I think this is the first allegory, the first story, and it's the story of a crane and the crane's friends and all these animals that are made out of origami, except I think golden is not.
Correct.
The golden retriever is actually a puppy.
Yep.
But it's such a beautiful story that's fun to read, and yet the lessons in it are multifold, no pun intended.
Yes.
And I think there's so much that I took away from this, and there's so much that I don't want to have any spoilers for the audience. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I think it's worth talking about, and you've already hinted to this, is this idea that the origami, and for the listeners, just as a reminder, origami is folded paper that's made to resemble typically animals, but also other things. And all of the animals here are made out of maps. And the lesson in that is that we all, as you mentioned, I think, Brian, we all have inside of us the secrets to what we need and where we need to go. How important is that to us realizing our potential the way that the crane was working to do throughout the story?
Oh my gosh, which strand to grab on that one? I think the ultimate hope for our well-being and for our healing lies in the map that's inside, because it's not only the answers that may be lying inside, but some of the reasons why we are the way that we are. And I think that in reflection of our inner maps, we are reminded of the people and the places and the experiences that have shaped who we are and what. And before I hand off to Linda, what I really wanted people to reflect on is that the shape you're in today isn't the shape you need to stay, that we actually have agency and power to reshape how we show up, because most of the shapes that some of us have come up with, we didn't choose. We were shaped by environments. And I just wanted to invite people into this sense of, if you don't like how you're showing up and you want to change, you have the agency and power to do so.
Yeah, and I think it's interesting that not only do you have the agency and power to do so, but as leadership coaches, I'm sure that this was not by accident. You talk about the fact that the other animals help the crane to do so. It's not just, folding yourself, or sort of figuring. Tell me more about that, Linda.
Yes. Well, it's not just folding yourself. And at first, OC, our main character, doesn't even realize that she is made, and she, on purpose, that she is made of a map. She doesn't know that. She is lost in her dreams. She is exploring the playground and making friends. And so at first, it's not like paying attention and trying to memorize, what is she made of? She is reaching her potential. The question. Okay, remind me of the question.
Friends.
The friends.
The
The friends. Okay,
friends.
yes. And so these friends in the playground are the ones that actually help her unfold. The ones that help her play together, figure out what her dreams are, figure out that in this process of transformation, you can't go it alone. That you are invited to go together, that you need a variety of different voices, even some of the critical voices that will instigate movement forward, that will cause you to pause, that will invite you to play at a different level. And so without friends, without the familiarity that we have with the inner voices that these characters represent, we're just kind of winging it.
And for
no pun intended.
And for the executive leader, thanks. Yes.
Thank you.
And for the executive leader, I really wanted to raise the question: when you think of your teams, what voices are represented on your teams? And not only to recognize that, but to learn through the allegory how those voices can actually help in the shaping and forming of other people. And secondarily, when we're coaching executives, to ask the executive leader, which of those voices do they sound like to others? Because one voice can sound and be interpreted different ways among their team members. And which of those characters' voices are the voice of the inner dialogue that the executive is having with themselves?
Well, that inner dialogue is so important. And the two more negative, and for those who aren't watching but listening, I'm putting that in quotes, the two more negative voices of the rabbit and the fox, those often are the ones that are coming from within, right?
Correct.
And so it's really, and outside.
Yes.
But I like your point, Linda, that they too were helpful.
Yes. And I think for me, it was coming to terms with, what is my inner critical voice saying to me? Which part is reminding me that there's something important here, that there is something that I am passionate about. Whoa, there is a dream that I have, and it allows me to have the courage to face some of the harsh voices and say, I hear you, but I got this.
Yeah. Yeah. And to be the example in the book, the OC is the example for the younger crane as well, which I think is such an important part of the story. I for some reason, this has been coming up a lot for me. So it may be the reason that I saw this so much in your book, but the bias towards action, So in the first chapter, you talk about it's dream, and it's the crane dreaming. But then it goes right into play and try and fly, which are active verbs. It's not sitting and thinking. And I think so much in the personal development world, we do a lot of like thinking and questioning and overthinking. And the fact that we are encouraged in this book to play and to try and to fly, was that on purpose?
That was absolutely on purpose, because we wanted to offer both. We wanted to offer the reflection and we wanted to offer the action. And so we will say that Unfolded is designed to be a shelter for introspection and a springboard for action. And without the reflection and action, or without reflection, action is just busyness. Without the action, reflection is just paralysis.
Yeah. And that's why we integrated the reflections and the meditations after each of the chapters, because not only did we want to write an allegory, I also wanted to demonstrate what it means to intentionally and purposely pause in the midst of our acting and thinking to do some introspective, some meditative reflection. And so if people catch that or not, that's on purpose to break the mind and even like neurologically, like set us back from the story to then do some pondering, then to get us back into the story. That was all intentional to help people understand that, yep, we're inviting action and we're also inviting contemplation and meditation.
Yeah, it's interesting because I noted that. I didn't note it in the way that you just described it, Brian, but I noted those meditations between chapters really did they're written in a different font, they're written in a different way. They don't quite rhyme, but some parts do. And so they made my brain stop for sure. Because otherwise, especially when things are written in story, there becomes this like, oh, let me see what happens in the story. But with the pauses, you have no choice but to sort of say, oh, wait a minute, there's more here than just a story.
Yeah.
Yes. Yep. Can I brag on Brian a second?
Yes, please.
For 41 years, he has been meditating and journaling for 41 years. So this practice that 42 years.
Just had a birthday.
He just had a birthday. So this practice that he started, there are meditations that just come out of Brian. People wonder, like, where does some of the magic between the two of you? Where is some of the magic that comes? It's not just, we didn't dump anything into ChatGPT. Sometimes it's just dumping all this information into Brian, and what came out are these beautiful meditations. Brian wrote every one of the meditations, and it was an outpouring of what the intention was, how to set up the reader, how to set up the listener to embrace and understand and have some hooks for the stories. And some of our clients have actually used some of the meditations as a opener for a meeting. And opener for a one-to-one conversation. And that kind of purposeful pause has really made a difference in the well-being of our clients.
Nice. Brian, what started you on that road to meditating so young?
I had a mentor who brought it up, that he thought that, or he offered like just several different ways of just engaging in some time to myself, and the benefits of that. And I was like 17 years old. So at the time, I thought, well, why not? I'll just try it. And you know what? It just hooked with me. Just what happened was I just started writing in the morning. And so that process of journaling led into contemplation, which led into readings of all different types of mystics and spiritual formation people and different types of religious writings. And that just kind of led to this place where I am now, where there is a unique way that I engage my needs as an emotional, intellectual, and spiritual being each morning. That is a way that I prepare myself for the day. And then each morning I write a formal meditation. And so you can imagine like how many of those I have. So, yeah.
Well, and that practice becomes play is practice, right?
Yep.
And then that practice, that's a quote from the book. That's something you guys talk about. And then that practice becomes the foundation for something that really works. Because if it's clear that that's not the first time you've done that, right? And the way that it's written and the way that it reads, it's clear that it's something that you have done before. I also think it's worth sort of double clicking on this idea that you have a morning practice that is your own. And I think it's really good timing. This episode is coming out right before the new year. And I think that a lot of times as we approach the new year, we think other people have the answer. Like, oh, I should do this kind of journaling and I should have this kind of journal and these kinds of prompts and I need to do what they do. And what I have found and really am stepping into in the second half of my life is that I need to I can try all those things and sometimes mix them and sometimes create my own. But it really is when it becomes your own that it's the most helpful to you. Have you found that to be true?
Yes. And part of what we invite those that we're coaching to do is to experiment, like to listen to your body, listen to your heart, listen to your mind, what works with you. And that could be journaling. It could be reading short excerpts. It could be going for a walk or joining a yoga class, like whatever the practice is, what is it that you can do, or what is it that you can rest in that feeds you and the needs that you have to nourish your soul?
Yeah, I think that it's really important that people trust themselves and put themselves in the same, all those gurus out there, including the three of us, right?
Yes.
You might think we have the answers. You have the answer. You have the map inside of you. Correct. I mean, this is the message of the entire book. And so to find the time and to find the practices and the coaches and the guides who can allow you to find that within yourself is so important. In fact, it speaks to this on page 28 of the book. I did not plan this, but this is exactly what we're talking about here. At some point, Rabbit, who is a more negative voice amongst the origami animals, was sort of being difficult with the OC. And the owl, who's probably the wisest of the animals, says, "Be gentle when others speak to you with doubt and judgment. Listen to the voice inside you. Your strong inner voice reminds you of your beauty as a paper crane and the promise of your potential." And I think it's really everything that we're talking about, right? You do have that inner voice that's often drowned out by the outer voices. Do you find that your clients and even yourselves have a harder time with that because of the phone and all of the outer voices that have access to us through this little thing that's even sitting right there right now?
Correct. We know that we're in competition with that phone, even when we're with our clients.
Yeah, you're touching on a nerve of mine. There's so much noise right now that serves as a distraction and a deterrent to personal growth. And the louder that noise is being amplified, most of the amplification is not by our choosing, the more confused we get on what's important. And so what I feel is that I needed for us to create a book that can easily fit into the palm of your hands, that was not overwhelming. It is designed to be a replacement for your phone. And I just believe that when we pay attention to the noise, we're paying attention to the nuances that society is saying that we should be like or sound like or feel like, which is disorienting to ourselves when we try to read our own personal maps. And so the invitation is, how can we provide little excerpts or stories that allow people to pause from the noise and the distractions to be more connected and grounded in who they are?
Yeah, I love that. And I think that we're aching for it. People want human connection. They want connection with themselves. I think that with AI, you mentioned AI, it's very clear that this book is not written by AI. It would never, it's just impossible, right?
Yeah.
It has me wondering, have you, the illustrations, and there's not a ton of them, but they are gorgeous in this book. And they are, they're very much what I like lines and geometric shapes, because that's what the origami is made of.
Yep.
Yes.
How did you find your illustrator?
Oh my gosh.
That was
one of the more stressful parts of this book. We did find
we lived the chapter try.
Yeah.
I'll just tell you that. Yeah.
We basically came, like, we had a deadline from Wiley, and we were getting closer and closer to the deadline with no one that really understood the concept. So we were complaining, and what happened was our 24-year-old daughter overheard us complaining. She said, well, why don't you use the company that we use? So we used an agency, and through trial and error, we finally found an illustrator who just got it. And he and I worked together on creating those illustrations. And so he was the artist, I had the vision, the imagination, and that's where they came to be. And the colors were all chosen specifically for the animal.
Oh, the colors.
Well, the colors aren't in the book, but we have colored illustrations that we use when we do presentations.
And I can't wait till someone gets the first tattoo. I can't wait.
That's going to happen. Of course that's going to happen.
Because I think it's going to be owl, don't you think?
Yes.
Yeah.
I would. I mean, listen, that's the one I would get.
We all have owls in our life. Yeah.
Yeah.
And Heather, when you bring up owl, like one just observation I want to make is that, when the voice of rabbit, which is that self-doubt and criticism and shame and judgment, in the midst of all that, who do we listen to that provides us with the wisdom that we're needing? And we all have voices of owl in our lives. And we were just talking to an executive yesterday, and Linda was saying, who are those people who know our journey, who can reflect on the landscape that we live? It's those individuals that we would invite people to call upon when the noise is becoming really distracting and you're losing sense of who you are.
Yeah, that makes me a little bit sad. My dad passed in May, and
I'm sorry to hear that.
Thank you. And I think that, as we get older, there are fewer of those people, and it's the reason that we need to seek them out, I think.
Yes. Oh.
Yeah, Heather, there's the need to seek them out for the validation of what that individual meant in our lives. And in the process of writing the book, Linda had a mentor that we reached out to speak some life into us, because he's written several books. And the second part, Heather, is this. We really want to challenge executive leaders to spend some time looking for the owl in their lives, and to also look for those who need the voice of them to serve as owl to them. Because we have wisdom to share with those that are coming up, and it is our moment to step into that and share what we've learned.
And I don't know if it's always age.
Yeah.
There are wise people among us if we listen and if we pay attention. And so we've had people of all ages enjoy this book. We've had a 10-year-old steal the book from her mom and hide it under her bed because she loved it so much. She's like, "Mommy, this is a beautiful book." She's like, "I need this for work." And then there's people like my mother, who's 82 years old, who's been giving out the book to everyone that she meets, and she gave it out to a friend, and that friend called her and said, "Hey, I was wondering if we could get together and talk about the ways that we've been unfolded."
Oh, wow.
Right?
Yeah.
So in your 80s, finding that joy as well, and realizing that wisdom is around us, the different voices are around us, and there's still dreams, no matter how old or young you are.
Yeah. Do either of you practice origami?
Well, that's another chapter of...
We have a video of us practicing origami. No, the answer is no. It's been a fascination of mine for decades. I do not know.
We work with an artist, and she can create character or origami for us in 90 seconds.
Yeah.
It takes 90 seconds a crane.
For her to do it, yep.
Wow.
I set a timer because Brian said, "Let's do this with this executive team." I said, "I'm not going to roll up in front of an executive team if we haven't practiced it ourselves."
Yeah.
Let's just do this. It can't be that hard.
So I set a timer, and he said, "Why are you setting a timer?" Because I said, "I need to know how long this is going to be." 55 minutes later,
I don't have one crane done at that time.
Yeah.
It was really sad. Yeah.
It's
So we're practicing, yes, but we're not good at it. Yes.
It's funny because as I was reading this book, and it's a quick read, listeners.
Yes.
It is a beautifully quick read. Mm-hmm. But while I was reading the book, I was talking to a client, and we were talking about the importance as a leader to make sure that your team is bringing the ideas that will ultimately come to fruition, because when they own it, they value it more. Yes. And I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but it's called the IKEA effect, which is the idea that if someone contributes to something, they value it more. And it's based on research about origami. Yes. When the people make the origami, they value the origami more than if they buy the origami. And I just thought that was really interesting. The other thing that I think is worth noting here, I can't believe as we wrap up, this conversation has flown right by, but at this time of year, it's funny because I took a fall this morning while I was walking the dog.
Oh, no.
And so I'm fine. But I hit my head. And so, like after you hit your head, you're always like, oh my gosh, am I okay? And so as I was walking back home, I was thinking, okay, what's the name of the book that I'm talking about today? And the first thing that came to my head was Unwrapped. And then I was like, no, it's Unfolded. But I do think that Unwrapped is also fitting with this time of year, and we're unwrapping all these presents. Correct. Because as you unfold, you really are unwrapping the gift inside. Correct. And finding that map. It's really the metaphor there is one that is going to continue. And my immediate thought when I finish this book is, will there be a sequel? Do you guys see this being a series, or do you feel like this needs its time to rest?
Well, it just came out this June, and we did hit the number 5 on the USA Today bestseller. So we were right after Stephen King. So I never thought a scary clown would be next to
our beautiful
origami crane. Yeah. But she's holding her own, so we're proud of OC. What was the question?
The sequel.
A sequel?
We don't have a sequel in mind now. We have many ideas,
and we have many manuscripts. We have. We are writers ourselves. I'm wondering if the next book might be the making of Unfolded, or the stories of Unfolded. To hear people. I mean, the reason why we made the allegory in the first place was that it is a story you can see yourself in.
Yes,
it's a story that you can find meaning from, that you can gain your own perspective. We are fine. Some executive leaders are like, did you write this for me? No. Yeah. It's a human story, and will there be a sequel? I don't know, but there will be another book.
Let me ask you, so the making of, as I've written books as well, and so as a writer, it's always intriguing to me. Well, a couple things. And I know that a lot of the listeners are writers or want to be writers. I think a lot of people, authors, writers, we could talk about the difference between the two. But when you say you're writers, what is each of you? And then if there's a shared practice, I want to hear about that as well. But what are your writing practices?
I write every day. So that's my writing practice. I'm writing something every day, and that has produced 5 manuscripts, and Unfolded was one of those. So there's something that I'm always doing, writing, and we write a lot of curriculum for our clients and how we're engaging teams and how they're navigating their landscapes. And so Linda and I have, a 15-year-long practice of writing curriculum together. So the writing process isn't that threatening.
And my approach is I am the voice in Unfolded that shaped the emotionality. I'm the voice that took some of Brian's ideas and reworked them and moved them forward. Oftentimes, I've had a practice of writing since I was a little girl, and I remember someone in high school, a mentor of mine, just said, "Linda, learn to write. If you learn to write, you'll know how to communicate differently." And so a lot of times I scripted, in my 20s and 30s, I would script everything. In my 40s, I tried to, write things and then just allow the trust emergence to come. In my 50s, I was like, bring it on. Like, here we go. And so it is a consistent practice. It helps funnel our ideas, it helps grow our ideas, and it helps us wonder what might be there as a beautiful gift to the world. Because we didn't want to write something, we didn't want to be authors just putting noise into the world. We wanted to give something that was a gift that would help heal, give light, and encourage and inspire people.
And for us to write together, since this was my idea, I thought this was going to be my book. And so I wrote two editions of the manuscript, would give them to Linda to look over. And finally, after the second version was done, Linda said, this isn't going to work. And she basically said I had to start over again, at which point I thought, I'll take all your recommendations, but what if I just go ahead and write the whole book and then hand it over to you? So our writing relationship is a lot like how Bernie and Elton create music. And so I'm Bernie, so I will write the manuscript. And what happened was 2 springs ago, I finished the manuscript and we went up north to a cabin for a week, and I handed the manuscript over to Linda and said, go for it. And Heather, every day, Linda would take 1 chapter each day, and then she would rewrite that chapter throughout the entire day. Then at about 4 p.m., we would sit on the dock or sit on a couch, and Linda would read the chapter that she had written. Every day I would cry when I heard her voice. And then after that week was over, the manuscript was ready to be submitted.
So great. It's so, what a beautiful way to get closer as a couple, too, to be writing something like this. And it's interesting. It comes back again to your individual maps and how they work together. Yep. There's a book that I read this year, Wealthy and Well Known.
Okay.
I don't know if you're familiar with it, but it's a great book. Rory and AJ Vaden. And they switched chapters. Right? So they didn't co-write so much as one wrote a chapter and another wrote a chapter, but it worked as well. And I think that, again, it's what works for you according to your map and how your map overlays with the people that you work with or the people that you live with. And so the way that you did it created a beautiful, it truly is a work of art. It's more than it is. The creativity piece of it is something that doesn't come up in a lot of my conversations here, because the more personal development, like what I've written, are less creative. And this is beautifully creative. So it's something that I hope that you remain very proud of, and I hope it continues to go out there. We will put links to the book and to your coaching practice in the show notes. Okay. Is there anything else before I let you go that you want to make sure that people know about you or about this beautiful book, Unfolded: Lessons in Transformation from an Origami Crane?
Yep. Linda is going to read something.
Can I read the beginning?
Yes, please.
One of the meditations.
This is a meditation, and the meditations, once again, were written by Brian. But this is our gift to your listeners, a gift to the world. Believe in your dreams with hope and courage. Your reshaping and transformation are not to be feared. One's true self is found within, waiting for its discovery. Embrace your journey of acceptance. Unfold the potential of your dreams. With confidence, take flight. Trust in yourself. You will become free to try. In a world of possibilities, why not fly?
So beautiful. Thank you for coming on, and thank you for this beautiful book.
Thank you, Heather.